Good morning, everybody. Thank you once again for taking the time out of your schedule to join us for what is genuinely one of the most exciting launches for our partner community to date. My name is Lee Houston. I look after the channel here at VanillaIP, and I'll be your host and compere for the session today. Alongside me, I've Ed Thrussell, who works in our third line product development team, and as always, Charlotte Quarterly will be here to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions on the right hand side of your screen, so by all means fire them in as we go along. I'll do my best to answer them either throughout or at the end. Hopefully I'll get a chance to get to them. But as the name of the webinar suggests, we are today announcing a new range of phones by a company called Htek. Now this integration, this launch, will allow our partners to be even more competitive than what they are today and offer them an additional layer of differentiation within the marketplace. We've also made some significant steps forward with regards to the support and provisioning through integration that should hopefully excite your technical teams. So one of the questions you may ordinarily be asking is, who are Htek? Now, Htek have been producing SIP end devices for over a decade now and have been relatively successful in a large number of countries. We're in a really strong position because we've been working directly with Htek, so therefore there is no middleman with regards to the supply chain. And over the past 6 months, we've put an extensive amount of work in place integrating their product with our UBOS portal, which as always is key to everything we do, to deliver an unrivaled tightness between these two products, delivering what we're calling a true cloud phone. Now, by true cloud phone, what we've done is we've taken away the complication of configuration and we've allowed full configuration from within the UBOS portal, but at the same time allowing local configuration to still take place within the device. However, this also writes back to the portal. So we're in a really strong position here. We've created a level of integration that allows configuration to take place both in the portal and on the device, and those two things are talking to each other. Now, I'm sure you've all been in a situation where you have had to send your customer a new firmware or a new config file or had to reboot their device, and when that comes back up, they've lost their settings, they've lost their BLFs, they've lost their pre-programmed keys, whatever it may be, but you've then had to go through the process of helping them set it up again, which can be painful. That doesn't happen here because we've got both devices, portal and the endpoint talking to each other. That scenario doesn't take place, so you can confidently send firmware, you can confidently reboot devices, safe in the knowledge that once you've done so, the customer won't be on the phone in 5 minutes time asking you to set their BLFs up again. Now, our current partners will know the emphasis that we have put on allowing you to completely own the product that you take to market, whether that be the packages that you create within the portal or your logo sitting on the applications that are on your customer's mobile phone or on their PC. But now with the integration with Htek, we've made it even simpler for you to own the customer's workspace, the customer's desktop, by automatically pushing through your logo, therefore reaffirming your brand onto every single device that leaves our warehouse, with no intervention or requirement for you to do anything. And again, this goes to show the level of integration and the thought process that we've gone through when we've undergone this project in order to make sure that everything from ordering right the way through to fulfillment and to installing that device is as streamlined and as effective as possible. Now, we're just going to move on to some of the functionality. We won't have time to talk about everything that we've been able to deliver, but just some of the functionality. Now, we work with a wide variety of partners within our channel. However, for those who have come directly from a traditional TDM, PBX background, Key Lamp is not only a standard feature of those systems, but for some small businesses is genuinely a fundamental component to the way in which they operate in their organisation. And with the move to IP systems, we've all tried our best to replicate or in turn create a workaround, but none of which have actually delivered a genuine like-for-like replacement for Key Lamp. But we're pleased to announce today that with the integration between UBOS and Htek, we are launching True Key and Lamp, working the same way as those traditional phone systems did. The system allows the physical keys to show line activity from other users, providing visibility of the line in use and allowing calls to be held on one phone and retrieved from another within the office, providing those people within the same Key and Lamp group. And I'll hand over to Ed in a second, who will give you a bit more information on this. But we demonstrated this at Channel Live a couple of months ago. We had a really great response from those players who have come from that traditional market that I mentioned. And for us, it excites us because it just puts us in an even stronger position to helping our partners migrate from their traditional TDM across to an IP platform. Over to you, Ed.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about the Key Lamp service, and I can't emphasise how excited we are about the Key Lamp service that we're going to offer you guys. And I know, as Lee mentioned there, a lot of key players that are big in the traditional PBX market are also particularly excited about this service. So as of later this month, so late October, I'm hoping it should be next week, we're actually going to have a Key Lamp service within the UBOS portal. Now, Key Lamp you can kind of set up ad hoc now if you wanted to. It's a little bit fiddly to set up right at this moment. So what we're doing is we're going to build a new business service called the Key Lamp service. You'll add it in the same way that you do with a normal business service, call center, hunt group, etc. But what this will do for you, it will build all the devices for you, all the lines or call slots, the Key Lamp slots, and it will also build the required hunt group for this service as well. Now, depending on how many devices are used, what UBOS is going to do is something clever here. If you hit more than 6 devices, it will decide for you what type of package you need to use for the users in question. This is different to CoolPark. I'll go through this in a second. You can still use CoolPark on Htek if you want to, but remember, this is Key and Lamp. So, here's a little, let's run through this here. We've got 2 phones on the right-hand side. Now, bear in mind, Key and Lamp can actually go across 36 devices. I'm not going to show all those on here, but here's 2 phones for you to demonstrate. You can see I've got 2 phones here. They're both ringing at the moment. There's a red light against line 1, which is the Key and Lamp line 1 slot, if you will. So that is on both phones. They'll be there. The second diagram here shows that the call has been answered on phone 1, and the light stays red. It's solid on both line 1 on the first phone and the second phone to indicate that the phone is actually in use. The second phone there, you can see the screen has gone back to the normal pre-call state, so it's ready to take calls or make calls if you need to. Now, the person who's called in wants to talk to Lee. So I'm not Lee, I'm Ed. According to that picture, I'm Ed talking to myself. It usually happens a lot. I put the call on hold. The LED against line 1 on both phones, or across all 36 if you will flash red to indicate the call is now on hold. I can shout across the office, so Lee's at the other end of the office, "Oi Lee, there's a call on hold, line 1.
I'll get it.
Thank you very much, Lee. And Lee picks up the call, picks up the receiver, the handset, presses line 1. The call is picked up on phone 2. Phone 2 is now talking, and the LED goes solid red on both phones again. Calls been released, so phone 1 can all of a sudden start making calls again and start receiving calls if it needs to. So that's Key and Lamp. So CoolPark is totally different. CoolPark, you take a call, you park it against a group of extensions or an individual extension. You have to use the group Park or the CoolPark service. This is Key and Lamp. It's really a case of holding calls against lines. And like we say, we're trying to replicate some functionality that's quite key to some players out there, and we believe we've achieved it. So some other features on the phone, so directories and call history. Let's just run through this very quickly. The directories screen, when you go into that, what that actually does is it will pull down the first 100 contacts across a multitude of directories stored in UBOS. So it will pull down any business users' extensions, any business users' DDIs, any business users' mobile numbers. It'll also pull across any common or corporate directory that's common to the business, and for the individual user, any personal directory that they may have entered into UBOS. Now, with this, when you hit search, although you only see 100 contacts on that initial screen, when you hit search and start typing, it will search through all those different directories and pull through the data as and when it needs to. What you can also do is there's a back button. You can press that and go into each individual directory, so common, business, personal, if you want to. So it's just some functionality there. As it states on the screen, it's all pulled from UBOS, so there's no concern that someone's added something locally. So if they added a personal directory entry, which you can't actually do in this case, but in some other manufacturer's phones, if you add it locally, and then you do a factory default, you're going to lose that. So in this case, you're always pulling from UBOS. So if you've got customers that want to have personal directories, we strongly suggest that they add those via UBOS, and then they're always stored in the cloud for them to retrieve. In call history, again, this is pulled from the server. So a lot of phones in the past have always had a local call history. So someone rings your phone, it hits your device, and then it stores that information locally and just says, okay, well, I've got all these missed calls from today. Oh, we've had a power cut. Our phone's rebooted. You lose that history. So again, we're storing it all up in the cloud. So factory default, reboot, it will pull all of that down for you. Line keys, soft keys, and future enhancements. So we've done a lot of work around device configuration, and we've worked very closely with Htek's engineering team to make sure we're developing and delivering this, what we're calling a true cloud phone. And the idea behind it is really that we wanted to make sure that every sort of line key and soft key is available for configuration in UBOS. In the past with other manufacturers, we haven't necessarily done it. There's been a lot of stuff that doesn't need to be there. Other manufacturers can make it fairly complicated in the way that you would configure a phone's soft key or a line key. What we see here, so when we say line keys, we're talking about the keys that are down the side of the screen. Soft keys are the ones at the bottom, which tend to be more feature-based. So what we're saying here is that we configure all of these in the portal. The second screenshot, you'll see when you've maybe looked at maybe our Yealink devices in the past, when it enters in information into the config file, it will use a number rather than a feature description. So in the past, you had to kind of work with a guide to say, okay, well, I want to set this key to be a speed dial. What number is that? Okay, that's speed. That's option 17 or something along those lines. You can see there in the screenshot, we've now gone for a description against that, and that will set the feature correctly in the configuration file. So no need to really work against the guide on that anymore. It should be fairly self-explanatory. Drop down the type, choose the type of key that you want, set it up, give it a value, give it a label, give it an account, provision the phone, and off you go. And again, all stored up on the server side, so it's right there every time you reboot that phone. One thing to note about the phones, we tried to get away from this idea of if there's a physical button on a phone, make sure it does something. There's been times in the past with other manufacturers, again, where the key, it might do something, or it's designed to do something on one phone system, but doesn't necessarily work in the same way on our phone system. So we've made sure that all those physical keys that you see on the phone, hold, conference, transfer, they'll actually work as they're intended to. And because they're there, we kind of thought, well, let's free up some soft keys on the phone as well. So when you're on a call, you might find the whole button isn't on the screen, but there's a physical key for it there for you. If you want to add them back in, it's something we're going to be doing over the next couple of months or so. We're trying to think of a good way to bring it into the portal, or an intuitive way to bring it into the portal for you. But it can be fully configured for these phones. That's the key thing that we're trying to drive across here. A couple of things that are coming. Lee touched on it earlier. If a user wants to manually set line keys on the phone, so a lot of people tend to use the line keys for speed dials, really, in a lot of cases. So either a BLF or a speed dial is what we tend to find. Again, it can be done through the config files in the portal, but we're also working currently with Htek, and it will be available, as I said here, available late 2017. I appreciate there's only 2 months left in the year, but it will be within that timescale. When you hold down a key on the Htek device, it will come up the menu and you can change what that key is going to be. So again, like in the second image there, you can set it for a speed dial to 1, 2, 3, 4. When you hit save, it will save it on the phone. Now again, in the past, you save it on the phone, you reboot your phone. If that's not what it's set to within UBOS, then it will override on the reboot. What we've done with Htek is we're going to be sending that config back. So when that change is made to that particular key or certain settings on the phone, that's going to write back up to UBOS. UBOS is going to scan through that. What it's going to do is take the change and it's going to force that through to UBOS's config file. So again, there where you can see the line key 3 type. If you set that to be a line on your phone or even not applicable because you don't want it to be used, that will be taken from that override file, written into your configuration file. And again, if someone hits configure on your device, it will take all that detail through. It will make sure it's as accurate as it can be to the device that's actually in front of the customer. Another feature that's coming later this year is to make things even easier for our resellers or our current partners to be able to configure devices in the portal. And one of the reasons we've done this with the Htek 926, it can have up to 36 line keys. We're going to be introducing an idea of tabs under the device configuration page. What that means, we can split things up on the page. So rather than it all being on one page, it's in a logical order anyway, but we're going to have maybe line keys on a separate tab, general phone features on another tab, network features, or maybe advanced features on another one. So you'll see that introduced in the next couple of months as well. When it comes to all this technical stuff, we're going to be running through this in a more technical webinar in a month or so's time. So anyone on the provisioning or technical side on this call, you may want to sign up for that in a couple of weeks. And we'll run through the Key and Lamp service and run through how all this is done in here as well if you want to. If you want to set things like the line keys to be individually changed, so there you can see we've obviously got line 1, line 2, line 3, etc. for the Key and Lamp. You can set those again on the phone. So if you've got multiple accounts on the phone, you can change all that around if you want to as well. So within the portal at the moment, you can obviously assign multiple users per device. You can do that, and you can also swap them all around. And when it all writes back up into UBOS, it will be stored in the portal.
Thanks, Ed. That's great. Now, for those of you who are already working with us, a quick note here on the process for ordering the new Htek devices. Now, thankfully, we've had some partners engage early with us on this process who we've asked to test devices and the ordering process, which is great, so thank you to those. For everybody else, you'll need to add the devices within the portal before you can move any further. You do so quite simply by going through to Settings in UBOS, Devices, and Add New, and then you'll now see all of our Htek range within that drop-down list, so you can select them. Obviously, you're going to need to add your sell price in there to your tariffs, which is step 2 within the process, and then save it. But there are a few additional pieces of functionality we've managed to bring through here with the Hteks, one of which is a stock checker. So you should see on the right hand side there, apologies if it's quite small, a live stock check of availability. Although I would suggest that all partners engage with us early if you've got a sizable opportunity and Htek is on the table. We are forecasting some great success with these devices, which obviously is exciting, but in the same respect, we need to be able to manage our fulfillment. So please do speak to your account manager early if you've got a large opportunity, or more generally, if you just need help on price and support, all of that sort of stuff. You know where we are, come talk to us and we will help as much as possible. You'll also see there is an additional option here, which is next day delivery or next day pre 12 p.m, which is new and is unique just to the Hteks. For pricing, that sort of thing, speak to your account manager, they'll be able to help you on that. And last but not least, a great step forward, again for our current partners, is the fact that when you order a Htek or a range of Hteks, those MAC addresses will be pre-populated within the portal. So again, saving you time, and you will not have to manually enter the MAC address into the portal. Great. So, without further ado, let's look at some of the range. We're not going to go through all 5 of the devices today, but we'll take you through 3 of them. First up is the UC902, arguably the one that I'm most excited about from a partner sales point of view, mainly because of the price point. I mentioned earlier our relationship with Htek in the sense that it is direct, so there's no middleman here, so we're taking these devices straight from the manufacturer and are able to put them out at an unbelievably aggressive price point. The UC902 is the entry level in the range. It comes with a backlit display, the ability for you to pull through some of the functionality from within the VanillaIP product portfolio and the UBOS portal. Things such as call, recording, pause and resume we can get on this device. Flexible seating will be here within this device. And as Ed mentioned, there's no orphaned keys here, so we're freeing up some of the real estate within the device because we've already got the pre-programmed buttons for hold, voicemail, transfer, that sort of thing. From my point of view, this is the ultimate bid phone. When you compare our competitors or other manufacturers, what they're producing in regards to entry-level phones, this simply doesn't compare. As I said, it's got HD voice and it's also got a backlit display, and we have been able to get this to market for under £32. I'm sure you'll agree, at £31.79 puts you in a really, really strong position to go out and put on the table a really aggressive proposition, a really aggressive quotation for your customers, especially in the tender process. So we're going to move on one device here. So we're going to skip one rather and jump to the UC923. Again, exciting device because this is the first colour screen, also the first device in the range to offer gigabit ports in the back. 8 SIP accounts, 6 physical BLFs, which you can see on screen there. Hopefully you can also see, although it might be slightly small, that bottom right BLF key gives you the functionality to scroll through and create a couple of other pages for more BLFs. You can have more than what is physically able to have on the real estate up there too. But as I mentioned, colour screen, HD voice, gigabit ports. In order for you to get something comparable on the market from our other manufacturers, you're looking at a device that's going to cost you in the region of £130, £140. We've been able to offer this to our partner channel for less than 60, £59.82 to be precise. Again, hopefully that excites you as much as it does us, and reiterates my previous points with regards to allowing you to be incredibly competitive. And last but by no means least, again, we're going to skip one model in the range and go to what is the flagship device within the range of Hteks. That's the UC926. I say it's the flagship model. You will see quite clearly that there is a much larger real estate with regards to screen and BLFs. There's 10 physical BLFs up there, so a great opportunity for you to have several for genuine BLFs, several for your line or key lamp lines up there too. All of these devices come with HD voice, and unbelievably we've managed to get this again out to our partner channel for less than £100, £90.48. Again, when you compare that to what is available on the marketplace, you're looking for a device of this caliber, this much real estate, this many programmed keys, colour screen. You're looking at a device that's over £160 in order to attain just some of that functionality. And as I mentioned previously, all of these devices will come preloaded with your logo, taking up the majority of that real estate, reaffirming your brand with your customer. And as it says on screen there, that's not a typo, £90.48 is the price that you'll be able to buy that device from us for. So that kind of concludes or rounds up our webinar for this morning. Hopefully you're excited about it as we are. If you're already engaged with us, then please start speaking to your account manager about the process. If you're having any troubles setting up your portal so you can start ordering the devices, please speak to your account manager. Alternatively, if you're not engaging with us already, we'd love to speak to you. We'd love to help you be more competitive, to create some differentiation within your marketplace. So please engage. The details are on screen there. Again, my name's Lee Houston, just to reiterate that. I look after channel, so if you want to speak to me, please feel free to contact us and ask for me. More than happy to help. So that's it, guys. Thanks again once again for your time. We look forward to helping you the next success of your the next kind of successful part of your journey, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.